Feels like a cage that's like underneath the water, and like the sea has just been chummed with blood, and like I'm being pounded on all sides by hungry sharks. Hello everyone, welcome back. Today's going to be a little different. Most of you guys who've watched the Fat Boy Diaries, especially since we come back on Grand Central, you guys have noticed that I've been vlogging every day for that channel. Something happened this week and I wasn't able to do that, but don't worry, I'm working to get back to that. So I decided to do something that's kind of similar to what I do on my vlogs, which is talk about my experience and like share it with you guys. So I thought, what better way to do that than to use something that I enjoy on YouTube to share it with you. And something that I always enjoy watching is it especially makes me feel like I'm talking to the other person and they're there with me, are mukbangs. Basically what a mukbang is a video with a ton of food being enjoyed by the person as they talk to you, kind of like you're sharing a meal together, so it makes it feel a little bit more intimate. I know, despite my size, that this does not look like a bunch of food. But sushi is one of those things that I enjoy and I don't always get to partake in. And this is enough to make me full. Surprising, I know. I do note that in a lot of other mukbangs, they like to have a lot of variety, but I'm trying to go on a trip, so I was trying to make sure that I could be as concise as possible so that way I can still afford that trip. I think that we should open everything and actually start this mukbang. Basically, I decided that my favorite thing to enjoy at any sushi restaurant is called the Snow Mountain Roll. It's really delicious, it's creamy, it has like this pink top right here. It's a Snow Mountain Roll, it's so delicious, and I love the yam one as well. Today what I'll be eating is sushi from Kyoto Sushi. No advertisement. I decided that I would order it so I could share it with you guys as I'm talking about something a little serious. But bear with me because I've eaten with chopsticks, but I'm still not the best at it. This video will be very different from my other videos on the Fat Boy Diaries because I'm going to edit it as little as possible. Mostly because other mukbangs I've noticed, especially the ones that I enjoy, they try to put everything out there like a normal conversation, no edits, you're just talking. I do have some things I want to talk about, but I sometimes get tongue-tied, so if there are cuts and edits, it's mostly so you don't hear a lot of ers and uhs because they still get in there, but I'm working on getting rid of them. Before I start, let me try to remember what I got. I know that I got the Snow Mountain Roll, I got a crab roll, I got a yam roll, which I'm pretty sure the yam roll is this one right here, and then I got the standard California roll because I'm a basic bitch, okay? Let me just have a bite of it before we get started. That's delicious, but I didn't realize how hard it was gonna be to chew. I'm gonna have to cut out some chewing parts because I'm still chewing. For my standard like sauces, I have soy sauce and I think this is wasabi with ginger. Oh yeah. I'm not a spice person, so I don't know if I'll be dipping any of the wasabi in any of my dishes because I'm kind of a wimp when it comes to spices. Everybody who watched last week will know that I posted a video called Confronting My Demons. Bing, it's now there. And that video is not a lie. This video is not a continuation of the depression I was facing last week. It is something completely different, which is why I wanted to talk about this before I go into anything. I have been rating my depression on a scale from 1 to 10, and I feel like that's active depression. 1 to 10 is me being aware of what's depressing me and ignoring it so I get depressed. And I'm going to change it where like the medium of the scale is 0, but you can also go to -10. Sometimes you can be depressed without knowing the reason why. You can think so hard and so long about it and still come up with nothing. It can really do stuff to you. So I'm going to change my scales. So my scale goes from -10 to +10, with the medium being 0. Because like this past week, I felt like I was in a -10 mind space. I say that because I wasn't able to move, but it wasn't because of something I was consciously aware of. And I did a lot of thinking, I talked to people and they were trying to help me, but I could not fathom what was making me so depressed. And what I mean by not able to move, I mean, it took me a lot just to decide, oh, I'll lean up today. I will lift my arm. I will go to the bathroom because I guess I don't want to go to the bathroom in my bed. It was like that kind of like groggy fog. Oh, excuse me. I almost felt like I wasn't even present. And I was, because like the entire time I was like, I need to do this. I have all these things that I need to do. And I do know that sometimes I can get into that mind space, and after a lot of days passed, I was like, well, I need to get out of this because I'm planning to go on this trip. But in order to go on this trip, I need to save up money. Why do I need to save up money? Because I need gas. And especially right now with all of the things going on in the world, especially when it comes to gas, it could be a very expensive trip. And if I have no money, I can't do it because I have to be able to get home. That's been a struggle for me. I've been really wanting to break out of my depression, but it felt like an impossible task. It felt like no matter what I did, I was not going to be able to move. Didn't matter that this is what I wanted to do. I was going to stay in bed no matter what happened. A -10 depression is not something I feel like everybody experiences unless they're somebody who knows actively that they deal with depression. Because most people just assume, oh, I have a bad day. We all have bad days. P.S. I'm sorry if I'm spitting all over this food. It is for me, so no shame, but I'm like watching the spit fly out of my mouth, and that's kind of disgusting. And I'm like, well, I'm really glad I'm not planning to share any of this food because they would be getting a lot of spittle. But that's good. And the reason why I'm saying I don't think they'll get it is because it's something that happens in your subconscious. Because people are like, well, I would never get that bad. I would never make it so I couldn't go out and get money and do the things that I'm required to in order to function. I've talked to people like that. There's no shame if you are that kind of way. But I've been able to do that kind of thinking when it's something actively happening in my brain. If it's passive, I will never confront it. I'll just let it go. I won't do anything. It's kind of one of those things. I was trying to make this a pretty mukbang, but it might be disgusting. I may be a disgusting eater. When it's in like the positive number, I am aware and I can actively think of things to get me think of ways to work around it. The best way I can describe it to you what a -10 is, imagine that you're on a beach and all your friends decided to go swimming. And all of them are like in the shallow and eventually they get out there and they're all swimming too. But then you're the first one out there and all of a sudden the current pulls you backwards even though you want to go forward and you're imagining it. No matter how hard you pull, no matter how hard you tug, it's just pulling you back and you're just hoping it doesn't pull you to the point where you can't get out again. You don't want it to be the end. That's kind of what -10 is. This past week I haven't been able to get out of bed. I haven't been able to take a shower. I haven't been able to eat properly, which is why what I'm about to tell you is a huge surprise to me. I don't understand how it happened. Because I was eating, but I wasn't eating good. I was eating like snack food and things that I shouldn't be because of my -10 depression. So I was eating a lot of food. But somehow on the scale this week for an update, because I'm keeping track, I somehow lost 1.5 pounds. I cannot fathom how that happened. How can you lose 1.5 pounds when you're actively eating as much as I was eating? I was eating more than I ate last week when I apparently gained 1 pound. It doesn't fathom to me. I'm at 417.4, but I just rounded up to 0.5 because, you know, I started being like, well, I need to get out of my bed. And if I don't get out of my bed soon, this trip's not going to happen. I will have no opportunity. There will be no days left to go out and work to make money. And so I was like, well, how can I trick myself to do things? So yesterday, I went to hang out with my friends, but I didn't hang out with my friends just to hang out with my friends. I hung out with my friends because I had not been outside my door in 4 days. And I was like, well, if I can at least go over to my friend's house, that will be me moving. Like, because I mean, it's walking because it's not that far away, but that'll be me actively moving and no longer sitting in this apartment. And I was like, okay, if I can do that today, then tomorrow I can go work. And then today happened and I didn't wake up till after 11. And I was like, oh my gosh, I cannot go for this. I cannot do this for an entire week. It is taking a lot out of me. So I was like, what is something that I love that I could do that I could then trick myself into working? So this is what I did. I love movies. I love going to them. And I was like, well, if I can go to a movie and it's far enough away, maybe I can trick myself into going to work because now it's not like 15 minutes down the road or I'm not immediately home. I can go to a movie and be like, well, I'm already out. I might as well start working. Why? So I can spit in my food apparently. These yam sushi rolls are the best. If you see them, try them. They're second to me to the Snow Mountain roll. No joke. Back to my story, like it actually worked. Like I went to a movie and afterwards I actually went out and worked, but I was like, I already knew it was going to be like a tiptoe because I had other projects I needed to do today. I wasn't doing my project either. I was in home in bed the other 5 days. So like me going out and working for a little bit and then doing my projects, huge accomplishment, huge. That's actually why I decided to do a mukbang because I was like, well, I need to do this video. I have not been able to film, but if I can do something that's required of me to eat and something that I'm passionate about and that I enjoy, like a mukbang, or mukbang, I know people say it both ways, then that will really get me to do the things that I know I should be doing. And it worked because obviously you're watching this video and I was able to do a mukbang. Granted, I don't know how well I'm doing it because I didn't realize how thick sushi was, so it's hard for me to talk and eat talk to you with my mouth full at the same time. But I'm trying my best. I am trying my best. This is the crab roll. Since I was talking about that scale, I am going to say, because I felt bad, that I was like, oh, hopefully I can move towards 0, and 0 will be the goal, to no longer be depressed. But then I went backwards in a direction I wasn't even expecting. I was like, oh, 0. Oh, -10. I was like flummoxed because I confronted my demons and I went backwards. And I felt so bad about that because I was like, well, why am I even depressed anymore? I confronted the reason for my depression and it's still taking hold of me. What is going on, Cameron? No matter how much I racked my brain, I couldn't understand. And then I was like thinking about stuff, and this is something that goes back to acting school. It's like sometimes our brains are working on a level that not even we can understand, because we have the conscious level of what we know we're upset at, and then we also have our subconscious level about things that happen in our lives that trigger these like shadow memories from our past. One of my triggers is stress, especially when it comes to money. Like, Cameron, why'd you go get sushi? Because sushi is not the most inexpensive thing to get. And it's because, again, tricking myself into being like, well, I went out to work, let's do something for my channel so I can continue going out to work more. That was the goal. My stress and my money really get to me. And when that happens, it kind of feels like a cave caving in on itself. I'm like at the bottom, but like more and more rocks are falling on top of me, and like stone and boulders are more powerful than I am. So eventually I'm not going to be able to lift the boulder and the stone to get back on my feet. It's that crippling. And so I decided that in order to change it, I have to be okay with the fact that sometimes you won't know the reason for your depression, and that this is the first time I ever remember feeling that way. And I'm okay with it. I just wish it didn't come to me when last week I was feeling so inspired and so motivated with all these ideas and like things that I wanted to do. It surprised me that it changed that drastically. I'm one of these Snow Mountain rolls because they're my favorite, and I need another one. Come on, baby. And then I thought about that. The fluctuation part, I mean. In life, we're told that until we're this perfect thing, it doesn't matter. Nobody wants to hear our journey until we're that perfect thing. No one wants to know how Meryl Streep became Meryl Streep. We just want to see Meryl Streep be Meryl Streep. There's a journey. Like, it happened over time for sure, but like there's a journey in life. Like, there's a whole journey, and it fluctuates. Sometimes we have good days, sometimes we have bad, and it doesn't always have to be perfect. And I feel like, especially right now, like our society is leaning on the perfection. Social media is leaning on perfection. They don't want our real journeys. They want us all to be these like bundled up perfect presents for Christmas. And don't even get me started on Christmas, because I don't like Christmas for that very reason. And I'm going to talk about something that I wasn't planning to talk about in this mukbang, but it's important and needs to be said. Eventually I was calling my best friend, and then I was calling my sister, and I was like, what is happening? What can I do to fix this? Because I don't understand. I really don't. I'm depressed and I'm not moving, and I normally have an idea. Last week I had an idea because something was really getting me upset and depressed and angry, but now it's nothing. It's gone. I don't have a reason for it. My sister was just asking all these questions because she deals with depression. I realized that a huge part of my depression comes from the fact that my entire life, since I was a kid, since before I was old enough to even carry a job, I have been told by my parents and the adults in my life that I was this close away from being homeless. So in my head, I'm not homeless. I have an apartment. I have a roof over my head, but like I'm like my depression, especially when it comes to like my stress towards money and other things, it comes a lot from the fact that I'm wondering how close I am, or what waters can I test with my depression until I am homeless. Like what's the bar that I can't cross to be homeless? Obviously, you just don't pay your rent and you'll be homeless. It goes further than that, because like, what's the point of having a home if like nobody sees you in it? If nobody comes to check on you, nobody comes to knock on your door. And something that I realized like today, with Wednesday, that I feel like I should have realized a long time ago was, I have one person who does talk to me every day, and I don't talk to them every day. And they said that it doesn't bother them, which I'm happy that it doesn't bother them. But I realized why I wasn't returning it, and it came as like a surprise to me. And it's because I have never been shown anybody in my life who has checked in with me every single day to make sure that I'm still breathing, or make sure that I'm not ill, that something bad hasn't happened to me. I don't know how to return that to somebody, especially my best friend. I don't know how to return that to them. I try in my head and like, what can I do to show that I do care, and I am trying to do that. I don't know how to, so that causes me stress, because I'm like, this is how I want to show it to you, but it may not be a way that you need, even if you say it doesn't bother you. Maybe I'm not doing enough, and that's on me for not doing enough. But even if something doesn't bother you, if it bothers me, I shouldn't let it be. Like, spending time with people matters. Phone calls, even a letter being through snail mail, because like you're taking time out of your life to share something. I don't do social media because it feels so fake and like false. Like, if these people who are all on my phone really wanted to talk to me, they would text me on the phone number I gave them. Like, you know? Like we're so inept at social media, being like, oh, they said happy birthday to me over Facebook. Okay, well, did they actually know it was my birthday, or did they get a notification reminding them? Like, it's kind of like one of those things, but that's one of my problems, is I don't know how to be there for somebody and show them the thing that I have never had. And that's sad. It comes from the fact that at an early age, my parents basically let me go. And I don't mean like they kicked me out. I mean like when I got into middle school, suddenly I was no longer being driven around by my parents. I was given a monthly bus pass, and if I had a doctor's appointment, my parents didn't go. I found a bus and I went to a doctor's visit without them. And if I told them about things that was happening, it was normally last minute, because they never showed interest. They never were interested in things that I was passionate about until like the day of the event. But like when I talked about it at home, it didn't seem like they were interested in anything I did. They were interested in other people that are in my family, what they were doing, but not me. And that really messed with me. It's really irksome when you see your parent care about somebody else in front of you, but not show you the same amount of care in return. And that has always driven me up a wall. What did I do as your son that you both equally had a part of creating, that I was released? Sorry about that, my video cut out, so I'm trying to remember where I left off. But I remember the major point I was trying to get down to is I never understood what I was waiting for, and I finally realized that I'm still waiting. I'm 25 and I'm still waiting for that moment when either my family realizes that I'm worthy of love, or that somebody else does. And I'm working towards no longer needing that, because it's hard. It's hard coming to terms with the fact that despite what people tell you, they aren't willing to put in the effort towards actually making that goal actually be accomplished. And I realized today that if I keep waiting, it's gonna kill me. In my head, I'm still a little kid hoping that like this will be the day, or this will be the year, or the moment when my mother wakes up and decides that she's gonna actually care for me enough to pick up a phone and call me and check in on me and make sure that I'm still alive. If only I had my mother talk about my depression, my life would probably be a lot more healthier. But I don't want to do that anymore. I don't want to sit around waiting, because it feels like a cage. It feels like a cage that's like underneath the water, and like the sea has just been chummed with blood, and like I'm being pounded on all sides by hungry sharks. One of them is going to get in and finally do the job, but I don't know which, because I'm basically just waiting around for the shark to get me. I'm not trying to escape. I'm not trying to get out of the water or to the boat. I'm just hoping that this fragile little cage underwater in the shark's territory is going to withhold all the things that are getting pounded at me every day. It's a lot. I'm so tired of it. I'm 25 because of the way that my parents have made me feel. And I said my mom, I would say my dad too, but my dad does not get an aside. He does not get an exception. The difference between my mom and my dad is dead. He's no longer here, so I can't go to sleep tonight and hope that tomorrow will be the day he wakes up and decides that I am his son and I was always worthy of being his son and worthy of his time. Like, he can't do that anymore because he's dead. Like, he's not gonna wake up tomorrow and be there for me all of a sudden. He's gone. I can't change that, and that's kind of it. There's nothing more to say about that. But what makes me sad is that happened to me, and I was in a bad place with my dad, and he died, and I was like, if you had just listened to what I was trying to tell you when I was trying to tell you, we would have had such a better relationship when you passed away. Such a better relationship. And that haunts me because I'm like, the what if? What if he had decided? Like, there's no answer to that. So how do I move past it? And part of me feels like the reason why I'm allowing what's going on with my mom to go on for so long is because I'm like, well, my dad doesn't have an opportunity. My mom does. And I've talked to her about it. I've talked to her a lot and she doesn't listen. She tells me I don't say things to her, and I have. I've said them to her repeatedly. I'm not putting this on the internet because I want people to go after my mom. My mom is my mom. It's my decision, like, how to deal with that relationship. I don't mind advice about it, but I don't want people going after my mom because that's not okay. It's not your mom. So you deal with your mom and I'll deal with mine. I do want to share that because the American nuclear family where like the mom and dad are there for their kids and look after them and love them. That's the dream. That's the ideal we have. Not everybody has that. I certainly didn't. I feel like it's okay to say that. Being transparent. It's okay to not have that as well. You shouldn't be ashamed for not having that perfect family. Like, I watch people that I love on YouTube and they speak about these wonderful families that I will never understand and never have. Like birth families. I have a lot of people that I'm close with that are my chosen family, but I mean like my birth family. Like I'm so separate from them and I've never felt like I belong because nobody ever attempted to try to understand me. I was always an other since I was a little kid, and at school I was being bullied and I kind of accepted the fact that no matter what I did, I was never going to find love because everyone I knew in my entire town from every school, because there was like 9 of them, and then they all went to the same one high school at the end of the year, but all of them knew me and I was treated the same way. So I was like, well, I'm never going to find love here because of the way that I'm treated. I'll push that off maybe next year, or maybe when I go to college, it will all change. And then you go to college and they're like, well, I'm dedicated to my studies. I have to make sure I'm doing everything. So you push off another year. And then you leave in college town to go home. But while you're gone, the little tiny relationship that you have with your family went from maybe this to this. And so you're like, oh, maybe it's the distance. Maybe that's why they're so far away from me. It's because I've been so far away in New York while they've all been in Washington. And then you go home and it's like, no, they were just choosing to not pick up the phone and not to like consider you in their head as they go about their life. Even though when they talk to you, they say that they miss you or they love you, but sometimes people need to be shown that you love them, not just said in passing like it's an excuse for your actions. Sorry, I wasn't intending this to be as sad as it is. It's not my intention for what I wanted this to be. I just feel like it's important, because the assumption of my life has always felt like it was decided for me. And my sister that I'm still close with, my sister that talks to me about this, that I feel like is there for me, I was pointing out that like our fears are sometimes what drives us to test waters, because we fear this one thing and we're trying to see what we can do to actually make it happen. So you're saying that I'm testing the waters to see what it will actually take for me to be homeless? And then I was like, well, that might be true because I'm unloved, so why should I need a home? Because a lot of like number one thing you hear from movies and stuff, and I'm a movie lover, is home is where the heart is, but that leads to love. And when you don't feel love, you're like, do I even have a home? What's the point of having a house with nobody that comes over? What's the point of doing the things you love when you feel so left out? I don't know how else to describe it. It's sad and it makes me feel bad, but it's how I feel. And I'm just so tired and done with being made to feel a certain way about my family, because I've always felt lesser than other human beings, because the fact is I was bullied in school. Then I got home and I told my parents what was happening to me at school. They dismissed me, that I was making up in my head. And then they also bullied me at my house. And so I closed myself off and went inside. Because I was like, well, if I close myself off, then they can't get to me. And now I'm just like, well, they always got to me. I've just been holding on to it. I've just been holding on because I'm like, well, they're getting to me now, but eventually we'll get to a point where this will be worth it. They'll finally love me, but I'm tired of waiting. I can't do it anymore. I'm over it. I can't because the habit of being depressed and sinking and being pulled under in a tidal, being pulled under by the tide, is not something I want to repeat anymore. I want to get rid of it. I want it to go away. I never wanted to speak about it again. It's so messed up that it comes from my family. I've always searched for a safe haven. And the one safe haven I had no longer is a part of my life. And that did a lot of damage to me too, that I still haven't faced. My friend that I've been talking to, I made to make an appointment with my therapist now that I actually have health insurance, to talk to them before I go, and I'm going to do that. I'm really trying not to make this depressing, but like the only way I can talk and be adamant about how I'm feeling is being open about what was going on. I feel like I talked about all the stuff that I set out to talk about in this mukbang. I was planning to eat more food, but as we were talking, like more and more stuff came up that really surprised me. P.S. I know I'm not holding chopsticks right because this doesn't feel right to me, but every time my big goblin fingers, my big ogre fingers don't seem to know how to hold chopsticks. In New York, there are a ton of sushi restaurants, and I lived there for 5 years, and I never once had sushi, and I kind of regret it because I've recently really fallen in love with it. Before I close, I want to say this. While I wasn't always shown love by the people in my family, there are people who come into my life, which is why I feel like teachers are so important. It's because there are people in my life that came in when my family treated me terribly, even as a kid. And they sat down and gave me time and made me feel seen. I'm gonna tell you their names, and maybe one day like somebody will watch this and they'll get they'll get all the credit and the support that they deserve. Because one of them was Emily Caitlin West Duvall now. She's gonna be in my Ashes. And she was my muse, like, because I fell in love with acting because of the haunted house, and then I got into acting in high school because I wasn't heard at home or in school, so I turned to acting because then I could fuel all this pent up energy and anger and sadness and resentment towards these characters that I was playing in school. Emily was the first person that like I saw. She was so bright and so colorful and so happy and lighthearted that she made people laugh. And like it was an energy that like I didn't feel like I deserved the attention that she decided I was worthy of being shown. I was glad when she decided to accept being in my film Ashes. It's a horror film, but I really want to do a comedy, and hopefully one day it will happen and I'll have the money to pay them to be in it. Because the other one is another teacher, and her name was Sharon Winningham. She was my English teacher, and then I left the middle school that she taught at, and then I didn't see her again until high school. But when I went to that middle school, I was extremely bullied, more than I ever been bullied before. And she let me sit in her classroom where it was safe. And then we went to high school, and she was pulled into acting the theater programs there. But like, not only did she see me as an actor, but she also gave me the courage and like pushed me to like go out for my dream, because I wasn't sure about leaving and going to New York because it was so far away. But I was like, well, if you got it, audition. If they accept you, go there. Because I was also thinking of a program that allowed me to minor in something else. But she was like, if you believe in being an actor, you go to that conservatory and you do the thing that you love the most. And nobody had ever sat me down to say something like that to me before. Like, nobody was like, your dreams are worth it. They are worthy of your time. I hope she watches this. I'm not sure if she will, but she's also in Ashes. She's another of the main characters. The third one was my teacher, and he was kind of the teacher that I was with the most because I was in all the music classes: band, jazz band, choir, music theory, marching band, like all 5 of them. And like we were there, I was with him for so long every day that it started just to feel like we work together, because his work is me. It made me feel seen because like music makes me feel so good inside, but I always felt dismissed by people. One of those people that like sees a student and works on them based on their potential, not on where they're currently at. And I feel like so many students are overlooked because they go like, people are like, ooh, shiny, they're ready. Not like, ooh, this person has potential, let's work with them so they can become ready. And that's the marking of a great teacher, to see unmarked potential and cultivate it and make it something. Then that was Michael Dybelvis. And I spoke to him recently, and he was very kind, and he helped me like figure out things to help music come back into my life so I could work on my singing. Post my Someone You Loved cover, but very helpful. I'm saying this in this mukbang because I've always felt like they deserved honor, but I'm also saying it because I want to make the point that just because your family doesn't give you the encouragement you deserve does not mean that there aren't people out there who do see you for not only your potential but your qualities, and know that you are worthy of your dreams and being loved and all the things that you want. Your friends should especially be that way, because all my friends are. If they aren't, then I'm not friends with them. I don't tolerate I don't tolerate people who dismiss you and your dreams. You don't want to be crushed by the people that you're closest to. I just wanted to say that before I wrap this up. So thank you guys, everyone, for enjoying this mukbang with me. The food was great. It definitely helped me think, talking and eating at the same time, because it made me feel more intimate and close. And I really hope you guys enjoy this video because it's the rawest I feel like I've ever been. I'm going to try to get rid of as much of the pauses as possible, but keep it as raw as possible as well because I don't want it to be heavily edited. Because that's what mukbangs are. They're supposed to be an intimate conversation you have over the camera in a video while enjoying a bunch of food. Again, whether this is a bunch of food, debatable. It is a lot of food for me, maybe. I don't know. And with that, everybody, as always, you can subscribe to this channel, you can give it a like, you can give it a thumbs down, you know, maybe it was too depressing for you, I don't know. You can leave a comment, and you can also tap the little bell button so you get notified when I post more videos. And if you change it to always, you'll always be notified when I post new videos and not just when they think something you like might come up. Maybe you like all my content and you want to see all of it. You don't want that algorithm to screw you over, you know? All right, everybody, thank you so much for watching and enjoying my week and my in-depth conversation about depression, and I will talk to you later. Bye!